Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing a lovely little watch that launched in 2021, and it is the antidote to the oversized, overwrought, overly thick Omega sports watch. This is the lovely Omega de Ville Trésor Power Reserve. 40 millimeters in diameter in Sedna red gold. It is only 11 millimeters thick due to its manual wind coaxial caliber. It's 44.7 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll zoom out a little bit, throw the watch on my wrist, which for reference is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see the watch is actually a nice match for the blue of my cuff, a handsome contrast between the blue of the dial and the red gold of the case. It's narrow enough across the wrist that I could recommend this watch for wrists as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, and it's low enough to easily slide underneath the cuff. There's your over-the-top shot. There is your down-the-barrel shot, plenty of clearance on each side. The lugs are nowhere near overlapping my wrist, and there is your cuff shot. The strap's high-grade, large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss finish in dark blue. You can see it's also symmetrical scale, which means this is probably a fairly expensive cut. There is some bolstering to add volume and a broad folded edge with a monotone stitch and calfskin on the bottom. You can see this is a brand new Omega factory strap, and it has a simple dress watch appropriate Omega branded red gold pin buckle. Now, Sedna gold, what is that? Well, it's basically Omega's answer to Rolex Ever Rose or Hublot's King Gold. So with a higher percentage of copper, it's redder than standard rose gold, and with a higher percentage of materials like platinum or palladium, it achieves greater resistance to fading over time. So like Rolex Ever Rose, this Sedna red gold will remain forever rosy. We have an Omega branded crown. We have a dramatically cambered box section sapphire that speaks to the attention to detail and the money spent on building this model, as a cheaper sapphire would have been domed and the cheapest sapphire would have been flat. So this cambered and domed profile is a cut above. The case is simple with elegant blended lugs that taper at their ends. We have a relatively short and stubby conical bezel, and that gives way to a metallic dial that is a very subtle metallic blue. There's a faint sunburst pattern radiating out from the center, and then we have sub-registers, each of which contains a very fine concentric pattern. We have applied rose gold indices that are doubled at the quarters, and then we have simple baton-style hands for the hours and the minutes. There's a power reserve indicator up at 12 o'clock. The power reserve is manual wind via twin barrels, 72 hours. We have a sub-seconds down at 6 o'clock, and you can see that the watch does include a hacking or stop seconds function. If I want to set the watch as I travel, I don't have to disrupt the seconds or the minute hand. I have an independent jumping hour hand that allows me to do just that. And of course, because this is a manual wind watch, all of the energy comes from interacting with the watch, and you can move the power reserve scale relatively quickly for a satisfying piece of horological theater. Now turn it all over. The movement is attractive, though obviously converted from an automatic to the large vacant expanses on the bridges. Nevertheless, it is handsome, with spiral arabesque Côte de Genève, a combination of both blackened and polished screws. And then we have a solid gold hallmarked balance bridge. So a lot of these premium Omega watches will feature a standard brass version and then an upgrade model, usually in at least partially precious metal, that will include a solid gold balance bridge. The 30 jewel movement beats away at 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is the beat rate for Swatch Group watches that have a silicone hairspring, which this has, giving it a high degree of resistance to magnetism. It is effectively amagnetic to over 15,000 Gauss or 1.5 Tesla, with a anti-magnetic escapement that renders this watch practically immune to magnetism. 2 barrels for that 72-hour power reserve. 2 barrels aren't necessary to achieve 3 days, but 2 barrels do better than 1 barrel in maintaining constant torque to the escapement, so you don't have a huge drop-off in amplitude after 18, 24, or 36 hours like you would with a conventional 1-barrel movement. So it does a better job of providing constant or at least consistent torque to the escapement. It is a master chronometer, which adheres to all the standards of the COSC, but it goes further. It cases up the movement, tests it in 6 positions for chronometry, and then it tests other things the COSC doesn't, like power reserve, water resistance, shock resistance, general durability, and anti-magnetism. The master chronometers were Meta's standard, created created in conjunction with the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology. It is an open standard, it's not Omega exclusive, and Tudor has recently begun certifying some Black Bay models METAS. Finally, it has the coaxial escapement in its latest tri-level variant. As invented by independent watchmaker George Daniels in the 70s, industrialized by Omega in 1999, today the tangential contact, direct and indirect impulse, low friction escapement probably remains the most exotic escapement you can purchase for below $50,000. And because this is a dress watch, it is water resistant down to 30 meters. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.